We present The Friend of the Family, a novel by Fyodor Dostoevsky, dramatized by David Bloom, with David Suchet as the Colonel, Margot Boyd as his mother, Madame la Generale, Kathryn Hurlbutt as his daughter, Sashenka, John Webb as his nephew, Sergei, and Clive Merrison as Fomich, the friend of the family. The action of the play takes place in Russia in the year 1859.
It's my last lump of sugar. But the Colonel said he'd give me another one tonight. Is that good? But soon it'll be all gone.
I'm afraid I made a great mistake about you, Fomich. I thought you were a well-bred man, and you turn out to be just as much a hog as the rest of us. And he called me a kosher. Well, I can't help it if God made some men fat and some thin. I'm just going to go home, as Foma says, to tootle up my harmonium. Hey there, Falaley!
Sir!
You pampered excuse for a servant. Stop guzzling sugar cube and get the carriage ready.
Be patient, Your Honor. I'm off like the wind.
Bahcheyev! Oh, don't walk out on us like this. We're just passing around the pudding, and what's the pudding without you?
Blast your pudding, Colonel, and blast your Fomich.
Forget about Foma. After all, Sergei is coming this afternoon. Stay to meet him.
I'll meet him some other time. Do you really expect me to let that toad insult me while I eat my pudding?
Oh, Bahcheyev, please don't go. You know how Foma is. He takes offence at everything. He's such a gentleman.
A gentleman, a damned rascal. He struts about like Napoleon.
But Bahcheyev, he is a most remarkable man. One could even say a great man. Just think of his writings.
Listen, Colonel, you know as well as I that Foma failed at literature, as everybody does, and joined the great army of unsuccessful, mortified authors.
Nonsense! Foma told us again only yesterday that he had put his literary work aside so that he could stay with us to observe us all and set us right. And don't forget his astronomical studies. Why, last night he nearly discovered a new planet. But you know, as Foma himself says, it's not a man's achievement we must value, but his character. And what fineness of character Foma possesses! I remember when Mamma first brought him to the house. Who else could have tended the General with such care? I have to admit the General Kropotkin was a bit crusty.
Your stepfather didn't mind humiliating Foma, and Foma took it all.
What?
He certainly wasn't the great Fomich in those days, pretending to be a bear just to amuse the old tyrant.
What if Foma should overhear you?
Well, so what if he does? I saw him with my own eyes, prancing about like a bear for His Excellency's pleasure, just like this. Your bear is dancing now.
Bahcheyev,
Your bear is
Bahcheyev,
now dancing.
this isn't the moment for a bear dance.
Now, your
Stop!
bear. Come on,
For
enjoy
God's
it. Your boy, join in the fun. Your bear is
bear
dancing
is
now.
dancing now.
Your bear is now dancing.
Uncle?
Sergei! Thank God you're here. Oh, let me embrace you, my boy, Sergei. My Sergei. Oh, let me introduce you. I don't suppose you'll remember it was so long ago. This is our neighbor, Mr. Bahcheyev. Bahcheyev, meet my grown-up nephew, Sergei Alexandrovich.
The scholar. We've heard all about you. I knew you when you were no taller than a grasshopper.
I'm pleased to see you again, Mr. Bahcheyev.
Margot! Come, immediately! There is an upheaval in the kitchen garden!
That's Mamma. You remember your grandmother? It sounds as if she needs me.
You must know your uncle by now. He'll do anything to please his mother. He even brought Foma to live here just because she wanted it.
Foma? Is that the Foma Fomich you've mentioned in your letters, Uncle? The friend of the family?
The friend who may yet be your uncle's
Oh,
ruin.
Bahcheyev, will you ever stop?
Do you know what Foma Fomich is doing now, Sergei? He's teaching the servants French. I ask you, will he make the soup any better?
But it's edifying, edifying.
To my mind, drink a bottle of vodka, and you can speak any language you want. You know French, I suppose, my boy?
Yes, I have studied.
A lot of good your learning will do you here. Tell me, what day of the week is it?
Oh, Bahcheyev.
Wait a moment, Colonel. You're a scholar, young man. Just answer.
Why, it's Thursday.
Colonel, you tell us too. What day of the week is it?
Why, it's
There now. That's the work of Foma Fomich. The fellow suddenly said this morning, I don't want it to be Thursday. Let it be Wednesday instead. There shall be no Thursday this week.
No, Foma Fomich is digging up the turnips, and it's all your fault.
That's Miss Perepelitsyn, Mamma's companion. She's a major's daughter, you know.
Did you hear me, Colonel? Come at once.
There's no helping it.
I'll be right there.
She can be a little peevish, but anyone who washes her hands in cucumber water can't be all that bad.
Mr. Bahcheyev, whatever is going on here?
I wish I knew, my boy, I wish I knew.
But who is this Foma?
Huh? You've heard the proverb, Sergei. Sit him down at a table and he'll put his feet on it. Well, just picture Foma Fomich, newly arrived in this household. In the morning, there he is, clomping about like a bear to entertain the old general, and all he gets for his effort is a good whack on the ear. But in the evening, there's Foma talking to the ladies about philosophy and literature, expounding God's word on earth, lifting them so far out of their humdrum lives that they begin to think that he's a holy prophet who stepped down from the sky. Your grandmother's a great lady, of course, but just between us, she's mad as a March hare. Well, at last, the general dies, may his soul rest in peace. Now, thinks Foma, I can get a bit of my own back.
But my uncle...
Your uncle frames and glazes the blackguard and worships him on his knees, this recipient of his own charity.
Impossible.
After all, hasn't Foma come to bring enlightenment to this cultural desert? They're bewitched in there, my boy, bewitched.
Mr. Bahcheyev, have you seen my father? Oh.
Now, look, my boy, here's the only sensible one of the whole lot, Sashenka. Do you remember your cousin, Sergei?
Sergei Alexandrovich, I'm so happy you've come. There's no one here to help Papa. He needs you. Oh, I pray you can talk some sense into him.
I don't quite understand much of anything yet. However, I promise I'll do whatever I can.
Oh!
But, Sashenka, how you've grown. I'm particularly happy that I've arrived in time for your name day tomorrow.
My name day? Oh, yes, but didn't you know? It's to be Foma Fomich's name day, too.
We were talking about the party at lunch today. You could see Foma's ears turning pink. Suddenly he blurts out, has everyone forgotten that tomorrow will also be my name day?
Sergei, we're depending on you. I have to go to find Papa now.
Goodbye, Sashenka.
That girl at 15 has got more spirit in her than all the others put together.
Mr. Bahcheyev, I'm worried. My uncle wrote me the most peculiar letter. Mysterious, confused, almost desperate. He seemed to be afraid of something. He pleaded with me to come here at once to help him in really the most astonishing way.
So another intrigue is being hatched at Stephanchikovo. Watch what you're about in there, my boy. It's a madhouse.
Sir, the carriage is ready, sir.
Thank you, Falaley.
Mr. Bahcheyev, tell me, is there any truth in the rumour that my uncle plans to marry again?
And why shouldn't he? I suppose worse things could happen to a man. There's more than one female there just now. They seem to be gathering like flies in a pot of jam, and goodness knows which he'll marry. But I don't mind telling you that your uncle is as sweet on one of them as a Siberian cat.
Mr. Bahcheyev, you're a true friend. I hope we'll see you again.
Don't worry, my boy. The fact is, I've got no starch in me. I always swear I'll never come back, and then I turn up again. Remember what I've just said. You enter this house at your own risk. Just wait till you meet Tatyana Ivanovna. Wait till you meet the flower maiden. Lezi damu neduraka momo. Yes, sir. Enter at your own risk. Come, Falaley.
Yes, sir.
A flower maiden? A Siberian cat? A bear dance? What on earth is happening?
Je suis a nous sommes...
Gavrila!
Oh, Master Sergei! Oh, Master Sergei!
Gavrila, dear old Gavrila, it's good to be back at Stephanchikovo.
The Colonel asks that you wait in the garden. Don't let Master Sergei into the house, he says, until I've had a chance to speak to him.
Gavrila, why all this secrecy? And what's all this, eh? La conjugaison des verbes français?
Oh, it seems that in my old age they want to turn me into a mockingbird.
How can you put yourself into the hands of such a fool as this Foma Fomich?
Why, Master Sergei, how can he be a fool when he leads our betters about by the nose?
What sort of man is he? Good-looking? Tall?
Foma Fomich. No, sir, he's an ugly little scrub of a man.
I'm sorry to have kept you waiting, Sergei.
Uncle, what have you got in that wheelbarrow?
Turnips, my boy. What on earth are we to do with them all? Where's Bahcheyev?
Well, off for home, I expect.
Oh, I thought as much. We'll have a devil of a time getting him back. The man has a will of iron. At least he might have taken some of these turnips with him. Oh, sir, you can leave us, Gavrila?
Yes, sir.
Well, Uncle, I'm here. At last. I confess your letter so surprised me that
Just not a word about that now. Afterwards, I'll explain everything afterwards. Oh, what a fine fellow you've grown, Sergei. Do you remember this old place? I can picture us just as we were. I was sitting over there by that tree smoking a pipe, and my dear wife, Katya, was here by the pond stroking your hair, and she said it was right to take the little orphan in. Do you remember that, Sergei?
Just faintly, Uncle.
It was evening, and the setting sun shone down on both of you, and I sat and watched you. I still drive over to her grave every month. But now, my boy, tell me about your studies.
I've taken up mineralogy.
I envy you. What a mystery science is. Yet there are men who have uncovered every one of nature's secrets. You sit among them and listen, and though you understand nothing, it makes you happy all the same. Only last night, Foma was telling us about astronomy. Do you know how many versts it is to the sun?
Yes, Uncle, I do.
Well, of course you do, my boy, but do you know who discovered that the sun stands still while the earth floats about in the air?
Copernicus.
No, my boy, it was Captain Cook. Foma said so himself. There's knowledge for you.
Uncle, we really must talk about your letter. I couldn't believe my eyes. You want me to marry Sashenka's governess, but I've never even met this girl.
Yes, Sergei, you shall marry her if there's a spark of chivalry within you.
You know that I would do anything to make you happy, and I must say that your description of her intrigued me. But, Uncle, I'm sure you wouldn't have me marry her sight unseen.
Well,
after all, this isn't the 18th century.
No, but be patient, my boy. You will meet Natasha soon enough. The main thing is you should make a good impression on the family right from the start. Everything depends upon you. And don't go and be shy.
Who've you got staying here? I feel awkward in society, and I'm rather afraid of making a fool of myself.
Well, there's Mamma, of course. She can be a little intimidating, I'll admit, but after all, she's what they call a grande dame. It isn't every woman whose second husband was a general, and General Kropotkin was a most fastidious man. He left no property, but he was covered with wounds. We also have a friend from town, Mr. Obnoskin, a young man of impeccable morals. Then there's a distant cousin of yours, Mizinchikov. He's been here for a month, a good sort of fellow, but poor man, he's a financial wreck. He never talks. Foma calls him the silent stranger. You'll find it an amiable group.
But you haven't mentioned the lady that Bahcheyev told me about, Tatyana Ivanovna.
Yes, I was just coming to her. Such a charming woman. Not quite young, perhaps, but of a delicate sensibility. She recently inherited a fortune. Until then, she had a miserable time of it. But you mustn't mind what she says. You see, there's something a little phantasmagorical about her. You understand?
Uncle, I am so fond of you that you must excuse my asking. Do you intend to marry someone here?
Why, where did you ever get such an idea? I'm not going to marry anyone. It's true that Mamma and Foma Fomich wish me to marry Tatyana Ivanovna for the benefit of the family, and naturally they're also thinking of my own good, but I will not marry her. Oh, I have promised myself that. The only problem is that I can't seem to convince them, and they expect me to propose to Tatyana tomorrow on Sashenka's name day. I can't stand up to them alone, my boy. We'll have to join ranks. Our first test will come this afternoon at tea. Oh, Foma likes it as soon as he wakes up from his nap, so be on time. Don't leave me outflanked.
I'll do whatever I can.
And remember, Sergei, if you have something to say to me while we're in there, save it till afterwards when we're alone. One must learn diplomacy. Oh, yes, we must follow in the footsteps of Talleyrand.
Uncle, it seems to me from all I hear and see that you are...
Soft as butter, that I'm not master of my own house. Oh, I know it myself, but what's to be done?
Can you come at once? Foma Fomich is digging up the potatoes now, and it's all your fault.
I must go now, my boy. They're wanting me. Gavrila will show you to your quarters. Now, don't be late to tea, and above all, Sergei, don't be nervous.
Diego, where is Foma Fomich? You know he likes to have his tea early. He says it tastes better that way.
Well, I'm sure he'll be coming, Mamma.
What did you say, Diego?
He will be coming.
Who will be coming?
Oh, Mamma, do remember to hold your ear trumpet the right way round. Sergei, just in time, my boy. Now, attention, everybody. This is a moment I've long looked forward to. Let me introduce my nephew, Sergei Alexandrovich, who has just arrived from St. Petersburg. Sergei, I know it's been a long time since you've seen your grandmother, Madame la Generale, and my own darling Sashenka, and I'd like you to meet our friends, Miss Perepelitsyn, Tatyana Ivanovna, Mr. Obnoskin, and your cousin, Mr. Mizinchikov. He never speaks, you know.
Pleased to meet you, I'm sure.
Oh, look out, Sergei! The tea table.
Good afternoon, Uncle.
Good afternoon, my boy. We've already met one another, you know. Just try not to be nervous.
I warned you I might feel awkward.
Igor, is that the acrobat you said would be paying us a visit?
No, Mamma, this is Sergei, your grandson. She's a bit hard of hearing and she does wander sometimes, but it's the heart that counts.
The heart! The heart!
That's Tatyana Ivanovna.
Call the governess and let her bring another tea tray.
Yes, madam.
Well, here I am, everybody.
I understand you study in Petersburg, Sergei Alexandrovich. A charming city, don't you think? I rather like the aristocracy of the place, the beau monde, you know. Perhaps you've met my friends.
I openly admit, Mr. Obnoskin, that I've never been in society.
He's been too busy with his mineralogy. That means examining stones, doesn't it?
Yes, Uncle, stones.
Stones. How interesting.
Here she is. The governess. The young lady I wrote to you about. Sergei, come and meet Sashenka's governess, Natasha.
Oh, how do you do?
How do you do?
I must say that I am, well, that I am most favourably surprised.
I'm glad, Sergei Alexandrovich, that I did not disappoint you.
Sergei Alexandrovich, what a nice name.
Why, thank you, Tatyana Ivanovna.
I can't wait to find out. Do you ride horses?
Well, as a matter of fact, yes, I do.
He rides! Are you going to stay here long?
I wish I knew. It really depends upon the outcome of a certain affair.
Affair? What sort of affair could he have? Oh, the man! Listen to what I want to say to you. You are so like a young man I saw. A most fascinating young man in a white waistcoat.
Do you mean the soldier on horseback?
You remember, Sashenka, my darling? We were out driving in the carriage when he suddenly appeared from nowhere. Do you know what the shameless fellow did? He looked at me through his monocle. Of course, I hid my face behind my fan. But then, just as he passed by, I simply had to call out, "You're an impudent one, aren't you?" And I threw my bouquet right at him. Do you remember, Natasha? Here, Sergei, here is a rose for you. Catch. Oh, why, you dropped it. I really must take some air in the garden.
Igor, what are you waiting for? Your dove has flown the nest. Go after her.
Perhaps other wildlife is more to the Colonel's liking. I see Natasha is blushing.
Mr. Yezhevikin, you've appeared like an angel. Where have you turned up from, old fellow?
Straight from town, honoured sir, as straight as I could come. And you know what that means? A pretty crooked path. But look here, someone has dropped a rose. Allow me to present it to the lady of the house, Madame la Generale. Take this exquisite blossom with my compliments. And my respects to you, our beauty, Miss Perepelitsyn.
Stuff and nonsense.
Oh, I know you'd have me be an honest fellow, Miss Perepelitsyn, but what am I to do? I am a sly rogue. Fortune's played me false. Sashenka of my heart, let me kiss the hem of your frock. Oh, you smell of apples and other delicacies, young lady. And greetings to you, Mr. Mizinchikov. May God grant you all you want. If you can find out what it is, for you're so silent there's no way of knowing.
The little man. He's always amusing us.
Mr. Obnoskin, your servant. I also send up a prayer for you, that you may be given distinction and talent. Well, really, I bow to you, Colonel, the lord and master of this house, but I say my deepest bow for this portrait here before us. General Krakotkin, your eyes are always watching us.
Please, Father, don't go on like this.
There's no helping it, Natasha, dear. They say my tongue will be my ruin.
Ruin? Who is a ruin? Excuse me, Mr. I can never remember your name.
Yezhevikin, at your service.
Well, Mr. Yezhevikin, I've long wanted to ask you something. Why is it that just before you enter the room, you always glance back over your shoulder? It looks so absurd.
Simply because I always have the feeling that somebody is coming up from behind to squash me like a fly.
Sergei, let me introduce you to Natasha's father. He comes here every week, proud, my boy, proud as Lucifer. I can't get him to borrow any money. Yezhevikin, here's my nephew.
Sir, I salute you. I suppose you take me for the household clown. There's no telling who you might take for a clown in this place.
Why, no, really. Allow me to assure you, Mr. Yezhevikin, that I understand and appreciate your position. Oh, no, that is to say... No. Might I inquire... do you know anything about the Jesuits?
Not very much. Why do you ask?
Well, I just thought I might say something while we're on the subject. However, remind me another time.
Gladly. I'll just tie a knot in my handkerchief to make sure I won't forget. There. Good and tight.
Has anyone seen Foma Fomich?
I had a word with him on my way here. Would he be coming to tea, I asked. There's a scholar who's arrived from St. Petersburg, he replied. It would be out of place for me to join the company of such a luminary. I would take my refreshment in solitude.
Oh, there, I thought so. Now, don't worry, Sergei, it's not your fault if you're a scholar.
If Foma Fomich is angry, it is no one's fault but the Colonel's.
It's because he cares nothing for his own mother. You're a black-hearted egotist.
Mamma, 5 days, 5 whole days you've been angry with me. What have I done?
You have wounded your mother by insulting Foma Fomich. That's what you've done. She is not accustomed to such treatment. She is a general's widow, and you are only a colonel.
I would never willingly insult anyone, least of all Foma Fomich.
Why, then, wouldn't you call Foma your excellency?
It would be tantamount to treason.
For only 1 day?
Ego, you are jealous of Foma Fomich.
Oh, Mamma, you will drive me out of my mind.
May I ask, is not Foma Fomich the jealous one? I was astonished to hear that he is not content to let Sashenka have tomorrow's party to herself. He wants it to be his name day, too.
It's not his name day at all. Everyone knows that.
Sashenka, dearest, remember that we are in the presence of your grandmother.
Will not be quiet, Papa. We have suffered long enough from your horrid Foma Fomich. He's making life miserable for all of us, because people fawn over him and keep telling him that he's so clever, and like the fool he is, he believes every word of it. He's stupid, petty, and dirty. He's a bully, a gossip, and a liar. I would push him out of the window this minute if I could, but Papa adores him.
I am about to faint. Oh, my smelling salts.
Oh, Mamma, I beg of you, calm yourself.
If you really cared about your mother, you would look to the education of your child. I know something about good upbringing. I am a major's daughter, kindly remember that. As for you, you little hussy, you ought to be put on bread and water and shut up in a dark room.
And so I will, with pleasure. I defend Papa because he does not know how to defend himself. I'd challenge Foma Fomich to a duel and shoot him dead with 2 pistols.
Sashenka, I implore you, don't say anything more.
Papa, you were so wise and so good and so merry. Why do you let that horrid man ridicule you?
Well,
Papa! My precious Papa!
Excuse me, I must go to her. Oh, damn the Generale. The little witch is no longer here. She will never again speak in your presence.
Go away. Get out. Take away the acrobat.
Mamma, what are you thinking of? This is Sergei. He's come to stay with us.
Nobody of the sort. Foma warned me to be on my guard. He dreamt that an impostor would come to drive him from the house. Away, you fiend! Go away.
Uncle, if that's how it is, I'll certainly be taking my leave.
Keep a hold on yourself, my boy. Don't I have enough problems as it is? You are my guest, and you are here to stay. Mamma, be reasonable. This is Sergei.
I beg your pardon, sir.
Kathryn, what do you want now?
Foma Fomich told me to fetch Falaley from the stables and bring him here at once.
Falaley? Why Falaley?
Foma Fomich!
I have come merely to ask you one thing, Colonel. You see this personage, Falaley, standing before you. Have you absolutely made up your mind to ruin this poor boy? If so, kindly inform me, and I shall leave the house immediately.
What's happened? What on earth has he done?
Perhaps you will be less insensible to the events occurring in your household and more cognizant of your solemn responsibilities when I inform you, indeed announce to you all, that our friend Falaley has once again dreamt of the White Bull.
Shocking, positively shocking.
You finished me, Falaley. I'm done for.
You may recall, Colonel, that a week ago, when this animal first appeared in Falaley's dreams, I took pains to point out to you that a white bull is, if anything, an alarming proof of coarseness. As we think, so shall we dream. And would you not agree that the thoughts of the servant reflect those of the master? I made every effort to transform this rustic soul into something lofty and poetic. I pleaded with him to dream of a scene from polite society, such as gentlemen playing cards or ladies strolling in a garden. Well, what was my influence compared to yours, Colonel? Tell us, Falaley, what did you dream of the very next night?
I'm ashamed to say.
Ashamed to say, but not ashamed to do. Let it be known that despite my patient instruction, perhaps at the instigation of you yourself, Colonel, the very next night Falaley dreamt again of the White Bull, and for the sole purpose of annoying me, he's dreamt of it every night for the past week.
I say a prayer before going to bed. Please don't let me dream again of the White Bull. But the moment I fall asleep, there he is, the huge beast looking right at me, that great big blood-nosed bull with
Yes, that will do, Falaley, that will do. Take a look at your masterpiece, Colonel. I put it to you, Mr. Obnoskin, do you see any beauty in that face? Of course, I mean enlightened, spiritual beauty.
One might just as well find beauty in a horsefly.
I went up to the looking glass this morning and carefully examined my features. I am far from considering myself handsome. Nevertheless, there is something in this grey eye of mine that sets me apart from the Falaliers. Not unlike Bonaparte, there is thought, life, intellect in this eye. Of course, I am not praising myself. I'm speaking of my class as a
Foma,
whole.
let me introduce my nephew, Sergei Alexandrovich.
I beg you, Colonel, not to interrupt me. I am occupied with something serious, and you discourse about heaven knows what. Who among us would not cry out with Plato, "Beloved Pan and all ye other gods that haunt this place, give me beauty in the inward soul"? Falaley, you may now return to the stables. You shall be punished this very day. Colonel, see to it that Falaley be given no more treats of sugar until he has stopped dreaming of the white bull.
Perhaps, Foma, I might take this opportunity to present to you my nephew from St. Petersburg. He is studying mineralogy.
Is it your intention, Colonel, to systematically interrupt me? So far as I'm aware, you know nothing of mineralogy, an ignorance undoubtedly shared by others. Oh, why have our writers and poets not depicted an image of the Russian peasantry which could serve as a model for all these Falaliers? An image of the downtrodden serf blessing his poverty, dutiful to his master. Would that not be a worthy contribution to our national literature?
Foma Fomich, what would we do without your social conscience?
Oh, yes, it's certainly an original way of putting things, eh? Now, Foma, here is my nephew. He, too, has done something in the way of literature.
For God's sake, Uncle, don't introduce me any more.
Mr. Mizinchikov, what do you think of the question at hand?
I? Do you mean me?
Yes, sir, you. I value the opinion of truly intellectual men who know when to remain silent, and I think very little of people who are perpetually introduced as scholars and who are sometimes even sent for specially to be shown off.
If you want my opinion, you should compose an essay on the subject.
Thank you. I rather think that if I were to bring forth such a literary production, I should achieve something comparable to that perspicacious pundit, Perepelitsyn. Oh, how he plays with words.
Oh, yes, that's just it. He has, so to speak, such a knack for playing with his pen.
Colonel, may I beg you once more to avoid breaking into our conversation? With all delicacy, I would advise you to look after your estate, drink your tea, but leave literature alone. I dare say the art of belles lettres will not suffer.
Oh, no, you're quite right, Foma. One should never discuss anything unless one knows something about it. Oh, that reminds me of an amusing faux pas I once made. Well, I was with my regiment, you see, and we all went to the theatre. Now, during the interval, I got up from my seat, and who should I come face to face with but my old friend Kornuchov.
We ask, Colonel, whether your story will last much longer.
Oh, no, Foma, I promise you'll split your sides laughing. In the box next to us sat 3 ladies. Now, the one on the left was ugly as sin, so I blurt out, "Tell me, dear fellow, who is that piece of artillery sitting there?" Why, that's my mother. Oh, what a mess I was in. Diversionary tactics were in order. So I say, no, not her. I mean the one sitting next to her. Oh, that's my sister. Oh, damnable luck. No, I cry out. The other one over there. Oh, that one, old chap, is my wife. Well, we both knew I'd made an ass of myself, but how we laughed. You see, Foma, that's what you call putting both feet into it.
Have you finished?
Yes.
And are you happier?
But how do you mean happier?
Are you pleased with yourself for having broken up our pleasant literary conversation in order to satisfy your vanity?
No, but I only wanted to amuse you.
Amuse?
Yes.
Amuse? You are capable of boring people, not of amusing them. And are you not aware that your story was immoral?
Immoral?
You thought fit to mock a worthy Russian mother because her personal appearance did not catch your fancy. You uttered these words in the presence of your long-suffering mother, and you expected us to laugh? That is to approve of your rude and improper actions simply because you are master of this house?
My dear Foma, you misunderstand me altogether.
On the contrary, Colonel, I understand you all too well. The moment one of your acquaintances expresses a knowledgeable opinion about any subject, you think, just wait until I can display my taste and erudition. What's needed is a little more culture and a bit less conceit. You aspire to a sphere of intellectuality which you cannot reach, and you forget that a claim to wisdom which one does not possess blunts the little one has.
Oh, Foma, don't go on like this. After all, we have a guest.
I cannot help it, Colonel. Were I to hold my tongue, I might be accused of flattering you. With my silence, your guest might take me for a parasite. Has it ever occurred to you, Colonel, that it's I who am doing you a favour by living here? What favour are you doing me? You will therefore excuse me if I say that you have as much an idea of good taste as a bull has of roast beef. Now, that may be a little brusque on my part, but at all events it is candid. You don't hear that sort of thing from your flatterers, Colonel. But before we leave military affairs, may I remind you of the unseemly party you threw for your friend General Rusapitov?
Oh, but after all, Foma, he was my old chief, and didn't you enjoy the fricassee?
We are not discussing the fricassee, but the affront. Why did you refuse my request that you also address me for one single day as Your Excellency?
Oh, but Foma, what right do I have to make you a general? How can you be Your Excellency unless you are one?
So much for the prosaic mind. This man would have relegated Napoleon to the servants' quarters. Excuse me, but where is Tatyana Ivanovna?
Tatyana Ivanovna?
Yes, Tatyana Ivanovna. Considering your intentions towards her, you might at least have invited her to tea.
Well, she was just here, but I
In the future, you will certainly want to look after her better.
Why, Foma, what do you mean?
He means that you can't be a sponge any longer. You will finally have to do something for this family and not run about with the governess having tete-a-tetes in the garden.
Miss Perepelitsyn!
Delightful idea. Tomorrow we shall take tea in the garden.
Tomorrow is the day, Colonel, and a festive one it shall be. Not only will your daughter and I celebrate our name day, but you shall fulfill your mother's dearest wish and announce your engagement to Tatyana Ivanovna. But might I suggest a divertissement? Come here, Gavrila.
Sir?
For rudeness and misconduct, he's been condemned to learn French. I am a sort of Orpheus, taming the wild beasts with verb conjugations. Now then, monsieur, do you know your lesson?
I have studied it.
Well then, parlez-vous français?
Oui, monsieur. Je parle français ou pas.
Il est très drôle, n'est-ce pas?
Et quel accent, Monsieur Oblonsky.
To think that I've lived to know such a day of shame in my old age.
What did he say?
It's not my way to be impertinent to the gentry, but I will not be made to bark before the company like a trained terrier. I may not be very clever at my lessons, Foma Fomich, but there are wiser people who agree with me that since the general died, you have become a cruel man, and that our master is a little child before you. And though you may know the name of every one of God's planets, for all that, you bear the curse of wickedness.
Traitor. Villain! Hamlet! He dares to insult me! This rag to wipe my boots on!
Treason! Treason!
Put him in irons! Put him in irons! And well...
I must confess, sir, that in this matter I am entirely of Gavrila's opinion.
What's this? Who are you?
This is Sergei, my nephew.
The scholar! This is the scholar, is it? Liberté, égalité, fraternité, Generale du débat. He thinks he'll impress us with his learning. Well, young man, you can debate your heart's content, but it can't deceive us. This isn't Petersburg. Why, I've forgotten 7 times over what you've ever learnt. That's the sort of scholar you are.
Why, he's drunk.
Why?
Yes, you.
Drunk?
Yes, drunk.
Elba. Hurlbutt, prepare thyself for another exile.
Oh, wait, Foma, we are coming too.
We are coming! We are coming!
My God, Sergei, you have just declared war on Foma Fomich.
But, Uncle,
Colonel, Foma is running into the garden again, and it's all your fault.
Yes, I'm coming. I'm coming.
But, Uncle...
Excuse me, young man. Would this be a good moment to remind you?
What? Why, Mr. Yezhevikin, remind me of what?
About your promise. You said just now that you had something of interest to tell me. An anecdote, perhaps, about the Jesuits. Good old Yezhevikin never forgets. He may not have a head on his shoulders, but he's got a knot in his handkerchief. You see?
Bahcheyev was right. This is a madhouse.
Oh, Sergei Alexandrovich, you startled me.
Natasha, I've been looking for you. That is, I was strolling in the garden. I'm very glad to see you.
Well, what can I do for you?
My uncle says that I always blurt things out. I cannot help but notice, Natasha, that you are, well, quite beautiful. Forgive me, but listen, you must be aware of my uncle's plan. I mean, it's his wish that I should ask for your hand.
What nonsense! Don't mention such a thing, I entreat you.
Nonsense? Why, he wrote to me about it specially.
He wrote to you about it? How could he? He promised me not to. Oh, so you took him seriously and came galloping here at breakneck speed.
Oh, I confess I did not expect this. My dear Natasha, had my uncle asked me to propose to the moon, I should not have refused. After all, I owe him everything. However, now that I've met you, I'm beginning to think that carrying out my uncle's wish will be far less a self-sacrifice than I'd imagined.
Don't flatter me.
I didn't mean it like that. Natasha, I know I must look a fool in your eyes, but you may yet change your opinion of me.
Look, I beg of you, once and for all, put this nonsense out of your head.
Then my uncle has been playing the fool with me. But Mr. Bahcheyev spoke to me this afternoon about a Siberian cat. I'm no good at phrasing delicate questions, so I'll just go ahead and ask it. My uncle, is he by any chance in love with you?
How can he be in love with me if he wants you to marry me? Do you hear that shouting?
That's Foma's voice.
It is Foma and your grandmother, and I suppose they are quarrelling with your uncle over me. They share with you the same ridiculous notion that the Colonel is in love with me. They want to marry him to somebody else, and as a precaution they would like to get rid of me. I'm poor, it costs them nothing to fling dirt at me.
So then it's true. They really do mean to marry my uncle to that silly fool who's always throwing flowers about.
She is not a silly fool. Tatyana has the kindest heart you could imagine. What right have you to speak of her like that?
Perhaps I do have little right, but couldn't you be mistaken about the chief thing? After all, if they want you to leave, why do they make your father welcome here?
My father plays the clown for them, that's why. Foma himself was once a buffoon, and so it pleases him to have buffoons about him now. But my father would never bow and scrape before anyone for his own benefit. He believes, heaven knows why, that it is best for me to stay on here. That's finished now, for things have got beyond all endurance. I shall leave tomorrow, but not to please them, for the Colonel's sake. Listen to them. They are tormenting him on my account.
Generale, I want to speak to Sergei and Falaley.
To me?
Master Sergei, the Colonel wishes to speak to you.
He is a father to me, oh, yes. Far more than a real father. I would rather live in a barn and eat black bread than stay on here and be the cause of his suffering. I must go.
Natasha!
My boy, I'm glad I found you. It's all over, all settled.
I heard cries. What were they?
Cries? I should think so. Every sort of cry. Mamma has fainted, and everything is upside down. But I intend to show them that I'm a man of character. I have reached an irrevocable decision. Foma must leave.
Uncle, this is good news. Oh, give me the pleasure of helping you hasten his departure.
Thanks, dear boy, but I'll be handling this myself. I have sent for Foma. He shall accept the inevitable. Gavrila, I am your master, and I command you not to learn the French language.
Praise be to God.
My dear uncle, I've just been speaking with Natasha.
We'll talk of that later. Everything will be settled in a moment.
Excuse me, Master.
Well, Falaley, where's Foma Fomich?
He sends a message that he can't come just now.
You tell him to come here at once, or I'll have him dragged by force.
At once, sir, at once.
Gabriela, there is to be no retreat. Stand sentry at the door and see to it that we are undisturbed.
Yes, master.
Do you know, Sergei, I feel it might be better if you were to leave, just for the moment.
Oh,
It will be a painful interview for Foma, and your presence would only add to his humiliation. Go, naughty boy, here he comes. Do go. He mustn't see you.
No, he won't see me, but I wouldn't miss this for the world.
Did I hear aright, Colonel? Is it possible that you caused a threat to be transmitted to me?
Yes, you heard correctly. We must have a serious but friendly talk. You know yourself that there are certain matters upon which we shall never agree, and so, Foma, hadn't we better part? We shall remain friends forever, and I want to give you 15,000 rubles. It's every kopeck I could scrape together. You can leave tomorrow, the day after, or whenever it suits you. In our village, there's a little house for sale. It has charming green shutters. I'll buy it for you. You can work at literature, philosophy, do your stargazing. You shall come to visit us on holidays and have your favourite jelly with whipped cream. There. Will you agree?
The money? Where is the money? Let me see it.
Here. Exactly 15,000.
Give me this money. Give me these millions that I may spit upon them, scatter them to the winds, cast them to the dumps. You bribe me to leave your house. Here is your money. I trample it underfoot. Look at it. There. There. That's the kind of man Foma Fomich is, if you did not know him before.
Foma, what have I done? You are the most unselfish of men. You are the noblest of mankind.
I know that.
How could I have been so blind as to think that a man of your sort could have any use for money? But believe me, I was not bribing you to go away. I was simply anxious that you should not be in need. I implore your forgiveness.
As a Christian, I shall forgive you. But as a man, I shall despise you. Do you not realize, Colonel, how guilty you are towards me? I had imagined that I was dwelling with you as a friend, little knowing that all the while you took me to be a slave. You thought that I was thirsting for your gold, and offered me a fine token of friendship. These Judas pieces which now lie dishonoured at your feet. Tomorrow, I shall shake off the dust of Stephanchikovo at your doormat, carpet the road from here to Moscow with banknotes, and I shall walk proudly and contemptuously upon your Luca.
Foma, do not speak of dust and doormats. You shall not stir from this house.
On what basis do you expect me to stay, Colonel? There is no equality between us now. I have crushed you with my generosity, and you have crushed yourself with your vile action. In fact, you are an entirely crushed man, while I am exalted. And is it possible that friendship should exist without equality? This is the bitter cry of my heart, not a hymn of triumph over you, as you might imagine.
Oh, my heart, too, has a bitter cry of its own, I assure you.
Is this the man for whom I kept vigil for so many nights? How often did I rise from my bed, light my candle, and say to myself, he sleeps in peace. His trust placed in you, but you must not sleep, Foma. You must stay awake for his sake. Perhaps you may think of one more way to increase his happiness. Little did I suspect that you two were up in the dark of the night digging the wolf pit into which you have now just pushed me.
I will earn your friendship, I swear it.
How can you earn my friendship, Colonel, when you could not even bring yourself to make the insignificant sacrifice of addressing me as your Excellency?
Oh, but Foma, wasn't that asking a little too much?
My dear Colonel, you have always vaunted your military status over me. You are Colonel, while I am no more than Foma. Answer me plainly. Am I worthy of a general's title? I will gauge your intellect and enlightenment by your reply.
You are indeed worthy, Foma.
Then why don't you call me Your Excellency? That's where the shoe pinches. I see how difficult it is for you to consent to this act of self-denial, and therefore I insist upon it.
Foma, I'm ready to say it, but in what way am I to bring it in? Just anyhow? How do ye do, Your Excellency? Oh, it sounds so silly.
You are reducing the matter to a farce. I warn you, Colonel, I will not permit any lack of respect where I am concerned.
But Foma...
First of all, I am not Foma, Yegor Ilyich. Be kind enough to remember that my name is Foma Fomich. I see that you have not the facility to insert the word Your Excellency in the sentence. It's pardonable, since you are no writer. We'll begin at step 1. Say, after me, Your Excellency.
Your Excellency.
That's a good start, and don't take it amiss if I ask you to bow slightly at the words in deference to the person addressed. Step 2, repeat after me. How unspeakably gratified I am to ask Your Excellency's pardon.
How unspeakably gratified I am to ask Your Excellency's pardon.
Then, don't you feel a lightness about your heart, as though an angel had floated down and settled within your soul? You feel the presence of such an angel? Answer.
Well, I do have a sort of buttery feeling.
Buttery? Good heavens. Well, I suppose that's the effect of doing your duty. Colonel, do you realize at last that you are an egotist of the darkest kind?
I do realize it, Foma. I've realized it ever since you came to live with us. But I've not always been like that. Oh, when I left the Hussars, the whole regiment was in tears and said they would never find another chief like me.
No doubt, Colonel, but you must now allow me to leave you. I am tired and weak.
Oh, of course you are. Look here, won't you have something to eat? Gavrila, prepare a snack for Foma Fomich.
Yes, master.
A snack? First they give you poison to drink, then they offer you a snack. They think they can heal the wounds of the heart with roast duck and apple sauce. Oh, Colonel, what a pathetic materialist you are.
Uncle! You've been hiding, listening.
How could you bring yourself to call him Your Excellency?
Oh, and why not? I am proud of the act of self-denial. Help me pick up these banknotes. Oh, Sergei! Did you see his lion-hearted expression when he refused this money?
Oh, very well, Uncle. Do as you please. But I'm asking you for the last time, what do you want of me? If you do not require my presence, I shall leave. I could not endure another spectacle such as this.
Just wait 2 minutes. I'm going to Mamma to arrange one thing which will resolve all our problems. And then I'll fly to you and explain everything.
Oh, look out, Uncle. Mr. Mizinchikov's coming.
Oh!
I do beg your
No, pardon me, how clumsy. I do apologize. 2 minutes, Sergei!
Sergei Alexandrovich, I felt at first sight that I should like to know you better. Might we have a little chat? In fact, there's something I'd like to ask you.
With pleasure, but may I first ask you to explain the following phenomenon. I have just seen Foma Fomich refuse 15,000 roubles. My uncle offered it to him if only he would go away from here, but Foma threw the money on the ground and called out something about his being exalted.
Well, you know, incredible as it may seem, the fellow might even sacrifice 15,000 roubles to indulge the aspirations of his soul. He's a sort of poet in his own way. His flights of imagination leave him perched on dizzy heights.
Wherever he's perched, he's ready to swoop down on my uncle and force him into an abominable union with that Tatyana Ivanovna. It's monstrous.
Yet the idea is sensible enough. Tatyana's money would be a very pretty ornament to the estate, and besides, they're afraid that the colonel might marry the governess, who is, of course, penniless.
Is that likely? Do tell me.
Oh, he's desperately in love with her, there's no question of that, but he hides it.
And she? Is she in love with him?
Obviously, but we're wasting valuable time. I have a special request. You must first promise that what passes between us shall rest in absolute secrecy.
Agreed.
It's a simple matter. I plan to carry off Tatyana Ivanovna and marry her. A sort of Gretna Green business, if you know what I mean.
Mr. Mizinchikov, you take my breath away. Am I to understand that you intend to make her a formal proposal?
Heaven forbid, I should be kicked out of the house at once, and Tatyana herself would refuse me. But if I suggest an elopement, she'll agree like a shot. See, the basis for the whole plan is that Tatyana would be delighted to elope with anyone who asked her.
Then is she really mad after all? Oh, I beg your pardon, I forgot I'm speaking of your intended bride.
You ask whether she's mad? Well, it's difficult to say, since she's not in a lunatic asylum. You see, until recently she had a positively wretched existence, terribly poor, worn out with work. She's a sensitive creature, naive and vulnerable, and, well, you know how it is, dreams, desires. The years passed her by, and every expectation of marriage faded with them. Then just when she had reached the bottom of the barrel, destiny played her a fatal trick. A distant relative died and left her a fortune, quite enough to turn anyone's head, and it finished off poor Tatyana completely. After all, if one dream had finally come true, why not all the others? So, poof, her life becomes a fairy tale.
Mr. Mizinchikov, don't you realize that this plan of yours is totally dishonorable? You intend to take advantage of Tatyana's misfortunes while offering her nothing in return.
Bless us, what romanticism! Why, the greater profit will go to her, not to me. I'll take a mere 100,000 roubles and let her keep the rest of her fortune. Is that nothing? She will bear the Mizinchikov family name. Is that nothing? Of course, I shall not live with her. Wives value their husbands all the more when they are absent, but when I do occasionally visit her, we shall tell stories and toss flowers at one another. Can you imagine a more suitable marital arrangement?
But she's all but engaged to my uncle.
A moment ago, you expressed outrage at the very idea that your uncle should marry Tatyana. Now you inform me that I'm doing him an injury by depriving him of his bride.
And what if he gives in to their demand and proposes to her tomorrow?
That is just what we must prevent.
I trust you've told no one else of your plan.
Oh, the fact is, I told Obnothskin of all people, not knowing what a mediocrity he is. I wouldn't put it past him to demand money for keeping quiet. Sergei Alexandrovich, will you help me for your uncle's sake?
I don't know what to say. How can I be your partner in such an affair?
For all your ethical protestations, you seem willing to let your uncle go to his ruin. Well, remember, if I don't have your help, Foma Fomich wins the day.
Pardon me, Mr. Mizinchikov, pardon me. You see, my boy, I'm back as I promised. I've arranged everything.
Excuse me, Uncle, what have you arranged? My head is whirling.
Well, you see, they all thought that I somehow had it in mind to marry Natasha. They told me that they could not allow me to destroy myself, and therefore they thought it best to send her home. Well, I've allayed their fears by telling them that you will be marrying Natasha. Oh, you certainly went up a peg or two in everybody's estimation when they heard that news. It calmed Mother wonderfully.
Oh, Uncle, what a hopeless muddle you've made of everything. Natasha hasn't a thought of marrying me. She told me so herself.
But, Sergei, you must marry her. Otherwise they'll turn her out. And where could she go? What would become of her? She won't take a kopeck from me. All sorts of dreadful things might happen to her. No. Oh, I can't bear to think of it. Oh, no. Oh.
Uncle, I will ask you one question. On your answer, a great deal may depend. Is it not just possible that you yourself are in love with Natasha?
I? In love? With her? Why, you are all in a conspiracy against me.
We must, both of us, accept the reality of our positions. I play no part in Natasha's affections. You are the one who could secure her happiness by loving her, and God grant that you may so love her.
Sergei, why do you jump to conclusions so hastily? How can I marry a girl whom I look upon as my daughter? I, an old man, and she, a sweet rosebud. Foma expressed it in those very words. Why, from the first moment she came into the house, my Katya and I considered her a second daughter. But now look at her. She's suddenly grown up. Did you notice the special way she smiles, so coy and lovely? You think she is laughing at you, but she isn't a bit. Oh, Sergei, I thought you would propose and be accepted, and then she would stay with us and be a daughter to me forever. Oh, how I'd love you both, how happy we should have all been together.
Oh, Uncle, only you could have dreamt up such a plan. But all for nothing, for she has refused me.
Why did she refuse you? Oh, the proud, hot-tempered thing she is. The family will only allow Natasha to remain here on condition that she marries you. That was part of the agreement.
Agreement? You're not trying to tell me that you have agreed to marry Tatyana?
Tomorrow I am to make Tatyana a formal proposal. It breaks my heart, but what's to be done? There will be a quiet wedding. You are to be best man.
But, my dear Uncle, Tatyana's mad.
Oh, no, she's not mad. She's been a little unfortunate, that's all. Sergei, wait here a minute or two. Natasha must be brought to her senses. You shall marry her. I will see to it.
Uncle, wait a moment.
I've brought this nourishment for Foma Fomich.
Foma Fomich isn't here, and I'm sure he isn't hungry.
Would you like something to eat, Master Sergei?
No, thank you, Gavrila.
Is there anything else you may want?
Yes, Gavrila. Please tell me, is everyone in this place a lunatic?
I'm not quite sure, Master Sergei. If you'll excuse me.
Peace and quiet. At last. Oh! Why, Mr. Obnoskin, who's that? Who ran off just now?
I beg your pardon, Sergei Alexandrovich. I wasn't expecting you here. I wish to ask you a great favour. You no doubt observed that a lady was with me in the arbour.
Yes, I saw her, but I did not recognise her. Now, what can I do for you?
Do help me to protect my position. Your grandmother in particular would be distressed at any breach of propriety. Therefore, I beg you to preserve the strictest secrecy.
Who could it have been? Surely not.
Shh! Someone's coming. Adieu, Sergei Alexandrovich.
It's my uncle and Natasha. They must not see me.
I beg you, Natasha, reconsider. Shh. I thought I heard something move. No, there's nothing. It's only your imagination. Natasha, you must listen to reason. Sergei's an eligible young man. Perhaps he spoke too brusquely. Perhaps he offended you. He's always muddling things up. If only I could...
Foolish man! Do you still understand nothing? It is you I love. And I shall never marry anyone else. Tomorrow I shall leave this place and never again be a bother to you.
Natasha, what are you saying?
I am saying that I love no one else in the whole world.
But Natasha, I think I love you too. Sergei told me that I did. Can it be true?
Take me in your arms, Yegor, and see if it isn't true.
My dearest, my darling. Oh. There's someone in the bushes. Run away, Natasha, run away quickly. Oh, dear God, what's to become of us?
Oh, fancy meeting you here, Colonel. I was just taking my evening stroll. I hope I did not interrupt your nocturnal activities. Rest assured, I shall not disturb you further. Good evening.
Uncle, he was spying on you.
Sergei, where did you come from? Oh, what does it matter? All is lost, Sergei, all is lost. They've sought any pretext to ruin her reputation. No, but surely Foma won't reveal what he has seen. No, he's a man of lofty character. He must spare her.
Whether he spares her or not, one thing is certain. It is your duty to propose to Natasha tomorrow. You wouldn't see her shamed and dishonoured for having loved you.
But what's there to be seen in an old soldier like me? I never should have believed it. You asked just now whether I was in love with her. How did you ever guess?
Even I couldn't help observing that you were about as much in love as a man can be. You loved and knew nothing of your own feelings.
My dear boy, you astound me. You're wasting your time with mineralogy. You must go into psychology.
It's not psychology we need now. It's military strategy. Remember, everyone is against you. You'll have to stand up and defy the whole lot of them.
Yes, we'll take to the field like soldiers. Hoist the colours. Bring up the cavalry. But one thing does bother me a good deal. What if my mother has already told Tatyana Ivanovna of my intention to propose to her?
Hey, that
sounds like Mr. Bahcheyev.
Harness the horses. Yes, sir. Colonel, Sergei, come at once. We must go after them.
But go after who?
The flower maiden, of course. That crazy Tatyana with love on her brain and money in the bank. She's found her Don Juan at last.
Do you mean that she has run off with Mizinchikov?
A plague on your guesses. It's Obnoskin who snatched her away.
Obnoskin?
Mizinchikov. He's the most honourable of men, and he's joining us in the pursuit. Hurry, Falaley! Come on, Colonel.
Oh.
Bahcheyev, take Tatyana to her room. Mizinchikov, I wonder where everybody... Oh, look, there's Sergei.
Wake up, my boy, wake up, Sergei.
Foma, Fomich. Uncle?
Oh, you fell asleep, my boy. Oh, what a ride. You should have come with us. We found them at an inn, not far from here.
The moment Tatyana saw us, she cried, "Take me home! I don't want to go away with Mr. Obnoskin."
Yeah, but she's in her room now. All she has from her escapade are the flowers Obnoskin gave her. Well, it's over, for the time being at least. What a terrible night.
On the contrary, Uncle. Excuse us, Mr. Mizinchikov. Oh, of course. Everything is arranging itself providentially. You realize that it is now impossible for you to marry Tatyana Ivanovna?
Yes, my boy, perhaps there is the finger of God in all this. You know, selfish though it may be, I can think of nothing at this moment but Natasha. A sort of happiness is tugging at my heart. Oh, but I've forgotten the main thing, and it's late as it is. I've decided to write a letter to Foma. I'll let him know that I've pledged my heart to Natasha, that I will propose to her tomorrow. He will say nothing of what he saw in the garden. You can rely upon
Uncle,
it.
take care. He's sure to play you some trick.
Now, don't worry, my boy. You underestimate Foma. He can be a bit hypersensitive, but when matters come to a point, he will shine like a pearl. Now, how shall I work?
Well, Mr. Mizinchikov, what do you think of our friend Obnoskin now?
Oh, don't speak to me about that bungler. Why should I lose out because some fool steals my brilliant idea and makes a mess of things? You see, Sergei, I'm working on another plan.
Oh.
This Tatyana simply must marry somebody. In fact, if nobody has popped her into the loony bin until now, it's because she's predestined for holy matrimony. I'll just tell you my new idea. It's completely different
Better tell
from
me
the
some
old
other
one.
time.
Good evening, Natasha.
Good evening, Mrs. Mizinchikov. I want to have a word with you, Sergei. Oh, but first tell me, did they find Tatyana?
They've just brought her back. She's home, safe and sound.
Oh, I'm so relieved. You know, I almost envy Tatyana. Oh, she won't be unhappy for long. For her, there will always be another lover, even if it is an imaginary one. But for me it is hopeless. They will never let him marry me, never.
It will all work out. I'm sure of it. You need only have faith in his love.
Oh, no, Sergei. In this house, one needs more than faith. I'll be leaving tomorrow after Sashenka's party. There is no other way.
But Natasha...
Please. Look, I must go to Tatyana now.
Let me come with you.
They've all gone to bed. Now, General, we can be alone. At last. Good evening, Your Excellency. How does it feel to be stuck up there on the wall? I must say your portrait does you justice. Shall it be the customary entertainment? Very well, Your Excellency. Foma shall perform his bear dance for you. And 1, and 2, and 3.
Your bear is dancing now. Your bear is now dancing. There's only one thing I admire more than a good horse, Colonel, and that's a good pudding. And that one was delicious.
Excellent, as always.
Well, I'm glad we've found our way to your hearts, my friends.
It's your Sashenka who's won my heart on this day. But I must admit it's your chef has found his way to my stomach.
Oh, well, Foma's in a good mood, Sergei, and Mama, too. I told you everything would be all right. Now, if I may have everybody's attention, it's time to pass from the pudding to Pushkin. Sashenka has prepared a little surprise. She will recite some verses for us. No, but Foma, do tell us, did you put her up to it to give her old father a bit of pleasure?
Not I, Colonel. I had other things than poetry to think about this morning. However, I am ready to listen to the verses.
What sort of poem is it, Sashenka?
It's a love poem, Papa. Oh. I loved you once, nor can this heart be quiet, for it would seem that love still lingers here. But do not you be further troubled by it. I would in no wise hurt you. Oh, my dear, I loved you without hope, a mute offender. What jealous pangs, what shy despairs I knew. A love as deep as this, as true, as tender. God grant another may yet offer you.
How happy you've made me.
Oh, but you must thank Natasha, too. We were reading some poems, and she said, why don't you learn this one for your name day? And that's just what I did.
A capital idea, really capital. If you knew how I admire the poets. Sorry, Phil, what did you say?
Nothing. Go on, Colonel. I'll have my say after you've done. Meanwhile, I'm sure Mr. Bahcheyev will enjoy hearing more about your literary reminiscences.
Look here, Foma. What the devil have I got to do with literature? Writers are always trying to trip us up with their damned words.
As you pointed out, Foma, we ought to subscribe to a literary journal and let enlightenment spread through the household. You know, I used to think that a broom is a broom and an oven rake is an oven rake. But not on your life, my friends. According to literary experts, an oven rake is really... a symbol of something or other. I don't remember exactly.
Excuse me, Colonel, but Gavrila has just come with a message for me. Tell me, dear old man, is the cart ready?
Quite ready, sir.
Have you prepared my little bundle?
I have, sir.
Well then, I too am ready. Allow me, Colonel, to interrupt your interesting commentary on literary oven rakes. As I'm about to bid you farewell forever, I wish to address a few words to you before I go.
Foma, what are you saying? Where are you going?
I'm about to leave your house, Colonel. I shall go forth wherever the road takes me. A common peasant cart has been engaged for the journey at my own expense. In that cart now reposes a bundle of modest dimension, some favourite books, a change of linen, nothing more. I am poor, Colonel. But not for all the world would I accept the gold which you offered me yesterday.
For heaven's sake, what does all this mean?
Foma, you cannot leave us.
Now, Sergei, the fun's about to begin.
I think we're going to have a storm.
You ask what I mean by all this, Colonel. I am astonished at the question. Kindly explain how you happen to be able to look me in the face. Explain this last psychological problem in human shamelessness, and I shall depart the richer at least for having learned the newest development in the depravity of mankind. How
shocking it all is!
I prayed all the night long that I might find wherein lay your happiness, but I did not find it. For happiness lies in virtue.
Foma, I assure you, there has been a misunderstanding.
You had better let me leave, Colonel, without demanding explanations. The mischief is done and cannot be undone. Therefore, when making a few parting observations, I shall not enter into details which could prove embarrassing. Remember, Colonel, you are a landowner. It's your duty to shine forth like a diamond among your dependents. Forsake your feather bed and serve your fatherland. And you, Gavrila and Falaley, servants of the house, restrain your revolutionary zeal, obey your masters, and they will reward you with their compassion.
Foma, dearest one, we will even pay the servants more if you want, but you must stay.
I shall communicate any further instructions by post. Sashenka, my blessing be on you, dear child. May heaven protect you from the venom of your future passions. I bless you too, Falaley, in the hope that you will never again dream of the white bull.
But Foma...
But enough! Goodbye to you all. Remember, Foma, Fomich. Come along, Gavrila. Put me in the cart.
No, Foma! I cannot let you go like this. You have said too much and must explain yourself. You have misinterpreted my letter.
Your letter! Your letter! There is your letter. Watch what I shall do with it now. I shall spread it to atoms and return it to the base dust from which it came. There is your letter if you insist upon explanations. Voila!
What have you done? You have torn asunder the sacred bond of friendship.
What bonds are sacred to you, sir? Surely not the bond of marriage which you offer to this young lady for the sole purpose of concealing from us the base nature of your actions.
Foma, if you reveal more, you will be guilty of the most contemptible act in the world.
I shall not only reveal more, I shall reveal all, and am thereby performing my solemn duty to mankind. I am ready to climb onto the thatched roof of the nearest peasant's hut to proclaim your despicable deed to every passer-by.
What?
Last night, I found him with this innocent-looking girl in the garden among the bushes.
Foma, I warn you!
He, alarmed at my discovery, dared to send me that deceitful letter justifying his crime. Yes, crime! For out of a hitherto virtuous girl you have made...
One more insulting word against her, and I'll kill you! I swear it!
I say that word. I declare that of a hitherto virtuous girl you have made the most depraved of women.
Out!
Colonel, you are laying hands upon me.
Out!
My God, he's picking him up. Yeah, my toupee is falling off.
Out!
Out!
Out you go! Gavrila, pick him up, put him in the cart, and see to it that within 2 minutes there's not a sign of him on my estate.
Yes, sir.
Oh, they're lifting him up. They're taking him away.
I am going to faint.
Oh, Mama, I did not want things to end like this, but what else could I do? You have heard the slander. Now listen to the truth. I love this honest and noble girl. Therefore, here in the presence of everyone, I solemnly ask her to consent to be my wife.
Yegor, my son, my dearest heart, bring Foma back. On my knees, I beg you, bring him back at once, or I shall die before dinner time.
I cannot take him back. To do so would be an intolerable affront to the person whom I love. Listen to me, Mother. Try to understand. I want to marry Natasha, and I ask you to give us your blessing.
Oh, you, sir, are assassinating your own mother.
Miss Perepelitsyn, I've had enough of you and your tongue.
And I've had enough too. You have perhaps forgotten that I am the daughter of a major. Not a foot of mine shall rest in your house after today. No, sir, not a foot.
Natasha, you have heard my proposal.
Yes, Yegor. I have. But it's of no use. You can see for yourself they don't want me here. Your mother will never give her consent. Nor is she the only one opposed to our marriage. Let us say farewell to each other. It is best over and done with.
Natasha, surely this isn't your last word.
You're a generous man, Colonel, and have done my daughter a great honour, but we are not your equals. The bride they choose for you ought to walk about covered with diamonds and ostrich feathers. Perhaps then Foma Fomich might concede a little point and grant his approval.
God help us. It's St. Alexander's Day.
It's the flood! The flood!
Colonel, rescue the pilgrim.
We'll bring him back sometime or other. It's inevitable by the law of magnetic attraction. So why not just fetch him now, and Natasha and I will be on our way.
Stop, for God's sake, not another word. Give me time to think.
Foma went out without his boots. He didn't even take an
The
umbrella.
lightning will surely kill him.
And what's more, he'll get soaked in the rain.
Well, the ladies may have a point. Perhaps we should fetch him back. After all, a man is a man and not a dog. I wouldn't even send my hounds out on a day like this.
Oh, Uncle, surely you will not allow Foma to return. Why, it would not even be decent while Natasha's in the house.
I have decided what I must do. Mother, I will bring Foma back. Oh, but I will do so on one condition. Here, in the presence of those who heard his insulting remarks, he will ask Natasha's pardon. If he agrees to this, he will be welcome to stay on here. As for myself, my God, without Natasha, what will become of me?
Pardon me, Master.
Yes, what's happened? Where's Foma Fomich?
I left him in the little birchwood down by the road. His horse bolted at the lightning and he fell into a ditch.
And then?
And then he hurt his foot,
started to cry and began to limp back towards the house, holding himself up with a stick.
Fetch my horse.
At once, sir.
I won't be a moment.
Wait, Colonel, I'm coming with you. Let it not be said that Bahcheyev ever resisted a good chase.
Mizinchikov, Colonel. You're in command here now. Keep up the morale.
They're coming! What's that sack they're carrying in? It's all covered with mud. Oh, it's moving! It's the devil!
No, Mama, don't be alarmed. It's Foma Fomich. We found him lying senseless at the gate.
Come, Colonel. We'll put him in his favourite chair.
Yes, easy, easy. There we are, my dear Foma. Safe in your own chair.
Is it truly our angel? Has our angel flown back to us?
It is, and may the Holy Father protect him.
He's a pretty bedraggled angel. Maybe we'd better change his clothes.
A hot bath. At once. I shall rub him myself with spirits of alcohol.
Wait, shh. Quiet, everyone. He's trying to speak.
Where am I? As if he doesn't know where they've brought him. He's nothing but a damn mythomaniac.
You are with us, Foma. You are among your friends. Won't you have a small glass of something to warm you up a bit, eh?
Elderberry wine. Bring the elderberry wine.
I could take a little Malaga, perhaps.
I shall open the cupboard at once.
Foma, now that you are rested and are with us again, it can be put off no longer. I must ask you to reconsider your accusation against an innocent person.
Where is my innocence? Where are the golden days of my childhood when I was wont to ramble, beautiful and guileless, over the meadows in pursuit of the gorgeous vernal butterfly? Please give me back my innocence. Oh, give it back to me.
Where does he think his innocence is? In somebody's pocket.
He was probably no less a scoundrel as a boy than he is as a man.
Where are those days when, unsuspecting and serene, I could entrust my soul to the safekeeping of my fellow man?
You are with us, Foma, and this is what I want to say to you.
Will you be quiet, sir? Do you wish to murder this poor man just because he's in your power? Foma, dear, drink this down. It will restore you.
Where am I? Who are those about me? Bulls! They are bulls! They are butting at me with their horns! O life, what art thou? For we must live and live on, bearing in dignity and in justice. Not until the end of all, when the earth is spread over our graves, do men finally remember us. And what do they do then? They crush our poor bones with monuments.
Oh, mercy on us, he's talking about graves.
Didn't I tell you he was a poet?
Build no monuments over me. Let my only monument be in your heart.
Foma, never mind about monuments just at present. Listen to me. This is a matter of honour and dishonour. You must ask the pardon of the girl you have insulted.
What girl? Which girl? Do remind me of something in connection with the girl you mean.
Yegor, let him alone. What is the use of all this? I don't want his apology.
Help me. Help me to recollect. Is it true that I was cast out of the house like a mad dog? Is it true that I was pitched out of that very window? Is it true that I was struck by lightning? Oh, Colonel, I'm gradually regaining consciousness. The storm has not entirely deprived me of my mental faculties. Of course, I am still deaf in my right ear. I do not know whether this is due to the thunder or my fall down the steps. Oh, what does it matter? Who cares about Foma's right ear?
Dearest one, take my ear trumpet. You can hear the most amazing things through
I
it.
have no need for such instruments. It is you who must listen. I who must speak. Lift me up, my friends. Hear my confession and decide my fate. Colonel, you may not have suspected it, but I've long studied your character. In doing so, I've attained insight into your unbridled passions, your phenomenal sensuality. I have also had occasion to observe the young governess in your employ. When I noticed that a tender feeling towards you was building in her heart, I could not help but recall the words of Petrarch. Innocence is but a hair's breadth from ruin.
Foma, how could you have thought such a thing of me?
Go to Shakespeare, Colonel. His Hamlet will tell you of the turmoil in my soul. I envisage the future as a gloomy chasm with a crocodile waiting at the bottom. How else do you explain my desire expressed to you yesterday to remove the governess from the house? Your actions confirmed my forebodings at every step. When you offered me your gold, I thought to myself, he must drive me away so that he may the more easily consummate his crime.
Don't go on saying mean things about Papa.
He threw you out of the house once today, and he can do it again.
I see, Colonel, that militarism runs deep in your family. Can you not keep your artillery out of action until I have finished my story? I shall continue. What was I to think when blind chance led me to that fatal garden bench last night when, oh God, I saw my worst suspicions apparently realized in the most flagrant manner.
But I explained everything in my letter.
Yes, Colonel, you did indeed inform me of your honourable intentions after I had caught you. Why did you not come to me beforehand, radiant and beautiful? For love beautifies the countenance, and confide all in my loving bosom. Am I a loathsome beetle that would bite you rather than rejoice in your happiness? Am I a friend, or am I an insect? That is the question I asked myself this morning. Overwhelmed and amazed, I locked myself in my room and prayed for inspiration. The Lord showed me the right path. At length I decided to put you to the test publicly, little suspecting that I would be repaid for my efforts by being thrown out of the window. As I flew through the air, I thought to myself, that is how virtue is rewarded in this world.
Would a little more Malaga help?
Wait, let me finish. You are about to hear the story of a miracle. As I ran through the storm, pursued by the dreadful thunder, a great and unexpected revelation came to me, telling me that, despite my misgivings, your love for the governess was, in fact, pure and even exalted. At that very moment, as if to confirm the heavenly message, a cloudburst fell on my head. I knew then what I must do. Battling the elements, I turned back towards the house that I might fulfill one ultimate task for this family. Though I am wet to the bone and shivering with fever, I am resolved to carry out my intended work. You will see in what way Foma Fomich avenges himself upon those who have insulted him. Give me your hand, Colonel.
I shall not withhold it. You have fulfilled what I have asked of you by vindicating Natasha's honor.
Natasha, give me your hand too, if you please. Come along, child. Approach without fear.
What's the little beggar up to now?
Can't you see it coming? My God, the man's a genius.
If the blessings of a sufferer bowed down with grief may benefit you, then you will be happy indeed. Marry if you must. Such is Foma's revenge.
Hurrah! Hurrah for Foma!
Hurrah! Hurrah for Foma! Down on your knees, children of my heart. Down on your knees before the most generous of mothers. Ask her blessing. I will unite my prayer with yours. We shall all kneel together.
Foma, you are a saint.
A saint. He is a saint.
Saint or not, he certainly knows all the tricks.
Foma knows what is best for us all. My children, I give you my blessing.
Oh, Mama! Oh, my darling Natasha!
Let us light up the icon!
Icon! Ha! Let's open a bottle of champagne! And here is Tatyana Ivanovna. At the first whiff of romance, who else would you expect?
Tatyana, come and embrace me. Jacob and I are to be married.
Married? Natasha, you loved him and I didn't know it. They loved each other and suffered in silence. Natasha, how my heart is beating. Look here, my beauty, you are not rich. I want to give you 30,000 roubles. Tatyana, what are you saying?
30,000. Don't refuse, Natasha, dear. You mustn't offend her.
You will take it, Natasha. I promised myself long ago that I'd give you this present. I was only waiting for you to fall in love for the first time. Oh, how can I ever thank you?
Forgive me, Tatyana, for underestimating you. I didn't know what a heart of gold you have.
Don't think I didn't see through you. You adorable madman.
She's a most worthy woman.
Serve the champagne!
Yes, sir.
Let me congratulate you, my dear Colonel. You made an impractical match for yourself. All happiness and no dowry. And what's more, you brought back the friend of the family. So all as it should be in Stephanchikovo.
Uncle, Natasha, may every joy be with you.
My boy, I have just had a splendid idea. You shall be married after all. Just wait 2 years, and what finer bride could you have than my own Sashenka?
Uncle, you're incorrigible, although I must confess the idea is not without merit. But one thing at a time. This moment belongs to you, and for making it possible, I take my hat off to Foma Fomich. Oh. I assure you, sir, that we've never seen the likes of you in St. Petersburg.
Nor anywhere else.
Take no notice of me, my friends. My presence need not intrude upon your merriment.
Oh, my dear Foma, we have not forgotten you. It's only that we are walking about in utopia. But we all know who is the author of our happiness.
And happiness does not come easily in this world. We shall always remember what you have done today.
I don't think you've changed a bit, Foma Fomich. But I want to thank you for making Natasha and Papa happy.
My friends, live in peace. And in moments of contentment, think sometimes of the poor exile, wandering in distant lands, a stranger to comfort and cheer.
Enough of this, Foma. You shall stay with us. I must admit that you're not the easiest person to live with, but what would we be without you? Just a pack of country bumpkins. Who would gaze at the stars for us or tell us about the Greeks? No, we need you, Foma. You make life interesting for us all.
Interesting? You missed the point, Colonel, as usual. I came to this house not for the purpose of diverting you from your boredom. I came as a truth-seeker, hoping to find a fellow man worthy of my love. Do you see what I'm holding, Colonel?
It's a lamp?
Obviously it's a lamp. That, Colonel, is what they told Diogenes when he took up his lantern to search the world for an honest man. I, too, hold my lantern from face to face as I wander among you, seeking that man who can reconcile my soul to life on this earth. Why did he not appear in our midst? Where have you hidden him? Who is that hiding in the corner? What is this ultimate image of mankind that you offer up to me at the end of all? Oh, it's none other than Falaley. You asked me to love the human race, yet what do I see when I hold my lantern up to the world? An endless procession of Falaleys. Come here, my relentless tormentor.
Yes, sir. Can I be of help, sir?
Tell us, young man, what did you dream of last night?
I dreamt of...
Tell him you dreamt of Mr. Bahcheyev.
Tell him I dreamt of your virtue, sir.
I dreamt of Mr. Bahcheyev. No, I mean... I dreamt of the white bull!
My dear Falaley, your dream life is hardly commendable, and it certainly lacks variety, but at least you tell the truth, and that's a practice nearly extinct in this age of deceit. Alas, Falaley, fool that you are, can you understand what it is to have been betrayed by one's friends? But I shall make the best of it. Has not Gogol told us that sorrow is the mother of virtue? Verily, even in the lowest of creatures, such as you, I begin to discern, barely perceptible though it may be, the likeness of God. I forgive you, Falaley. Embrace me, my friends. I will stay with you. I will stay and I will forgive, but on one condition.
Condition? Why, Foma?
What condition?
Do you expect me to stay here with that portrait forever watching me? General Krakotkin must go.
But Foma, my dear, can we take His Excellency off the wall?
Of course we can. Why, if that's all you want, Foma, I'll get him down in a jiffy. Where shall we put him?
In the attic, where he belongs. Come, my children, let us celebrate. Colonel, reward Falaley with a piece of sugar. Let him not cry on this day of happiness for us all.
David Suchet played the Colonel and Clive Merrison Foma Fomich in The Friend of the Family by Fyodor Dostoevsky, which was dramatized by David Bloom. Madame la Generale was played by Margot Boyd, Sashenka, Kathryn Hurlbutt, Sergei, John Webb, Natasha, Helena Breck, Yezhevikin, Alan Dudley, Mizinchikov, Colin Starkey, Bahcheyev, Bernard Brown. Tatyana Ivanovna, Maggie McCarthy, Obnoskin, Gary Cady, Miss Perepelitsyn, Eva Stuart, Gavrila, Lockwood West, Falaley, Graham Blockey, and the servant, Alan Thompson. The play was directed by Martin Jenkins.